Kaido was long thought to be a brutish force of nature, a self-destructive tyrant who enslaved nations, produced biological weapons through smile fruits, and embodied the word monster. But what if his story ran deeper than we thought? Kaido joined the Rocks Pirates at just 15 years old and remained with them until he was 21. Through those years of chaos and conquest, what if he began to admire Rocks himself? Imagine the pivotal moment in their relationship. Rocks kicking Kaido in the face after Kaido suggested using his strength to conquer Elbaf and force Herald under their flag. What if Kaido respected him for that? During this time with Whitebeard, Kaido may have also come to admire the bond between Rocks and Whitebeard, seeing in them the kind of strength, charisma, and camaraderie he longed for but could never quite reach. Then, after obtaining his devil fruit, Kaido finally believed he had the power to stand beside them. And for a while, he did, until Rocks fell. When the Great War ended and Rocks met his end, likely in glory, Kaido became obsessed with that loss. He left for Wano only to suffer defeat again, this time to a man who once served under the very pirate he admired in Whitebeard. Years later, when Whitebeard sailed to Marineford to rescue Ace, Kaido set out to follow him, perhaps hoping to help, so Whitebeard wouldn't have to meet the same fate as Rocks, but Shanks stopped him. Not long after, Kaido cast himself from his Sky Island, not out of boredom, but grief. Whitebeard had fallen too, another brother, lost to a war of glory. Kaido never forgave Shanks. He never forgave himself. He even donned an overcoat reminiscent of Rocks. They both have black overcoats. A quiet tribute to the man who shaped his ideals. His ultimate goal became clear: to build an army so powerful that he too would pass away in a glorious war, just like Rocks and Whitebeard, to finally catch up to the men he admired most. And when he ultimately fell to Joy Boy, the very man he once believed himself to be, someone capable of changing the world, Kaido passed. His war might not have reached the same scale as those who came before him, but his final enemy was the one destined to defeat Imu, the same being Rocks once tried to overthrow. Kaido hated the world because it took his brothers from him, and so he took his hatred out on the world.
I wish Oda flushes out more in the backstory or whatever. Because even like this situation here with Kaido, we have to fully discern it on our own. Mm-hmm. It's not like Oda fed us this little bit. This is something you have to really, really dissect to get this about Kaido. Because I even realized that thing, like that Kaido wears overcoat is very similar to what Rocks wears. And how he would admire a lot of things about Rocks was and those things, seeing how he showed up here next to them, you know?
Yeah.
I do like Lauren said, because it makes you think and dig deep. And then you start realizing, like, you know, going from previous chapter to other chapters, like, making references, you might think, I might be onto something. That's why, like, going to like, written-wise, we don't get it at first, we get annoyed, frustrated, but when you start piecing together, you start realizing, yo, this is gold, this is beast.
Yeah, so Kaido might be way more sentimental, and that probably explains his wild depression. Probably why he wanted to take himself out of life so many times. He's a young kid who came from a celestial dragon, heavenly tributed country, and they sold him all. He came to find solace in these guys who... You remember when Kaido was chained up and he spoke to his king, and he was like, why don't you fight back? Rocks was that person he was hoping his king would be.
Rocks is a prime example. If you want something, go after it. Prime example, what Whitebeard said about the Marineford War, where they said they wanted to protect it. Whitebeard says to them, then try and protect it. Rocks was like, yo, you're strong enough, you protect what's yours, you go after what you want. Kaido kind of showing that too, because even like sentimentalist, if you really look at outside of Kaido, yeah, he would drink, but when he's drinking, you see him going through a bunch of different emotions. Even the part where like I thought it was funny, he was actually venting out to Luffy how all the years he built up building Wano to what he wanted, Luffy destroyed it all in like a few days. He was saying this to Luffy, he was like, everything I do just crumbles down. Like I can't succeed in anything. He was venting over that. He wants to be the great like Rocks, Roger, and Whitebeard, but he never really could. He tried making himself to be that Joy Boy, that figure, but he couldn't.
There's one thing I also want to mention. It's a great parallel between Rocks and Whitebeard. Rocks is in a war where he doesn't have the backing of his crew and he's trying to save somebody, right? And through that saving, he basically takes on everybody and completely thinks that like his crew is just gonna run away. And he even offers Whitebeard to just go. You don't have to stay here. And then he gets taken out. And then somehow Whitebeard escapes. But Whitebeard goes to war with his crew to save somebody. And he tells his crew to go away. And the only person that stays back is Ace. And then Ace gets himself murked. So in a way, it's like Whitebeard's doing that same thing that Ace did. But he gets away this time. Meanwhile, Ace didn't. Whitebeard sort of lived what Rox was living during God Valley. But instead of Whitebeard escaping, he saw his Whitebeard pass away in front of his eyes.
See, that's like weirdly poetic.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And the thing is, Whitebeard was trying to save his crew. Meanwhile, Rox thought that his crew just abandoned him. But Whitebeard wanted them to abandon him. You can always look at like Whitebeard, you could always look at Kaido, and even Big Mom to a degree, where they always emanated Rox to some degree in their life. And I think this crew of misfits, I truly believe they cared so deeply about Rox, and they didn't even notice it until it was too late. Because once he was gone, they lost sight of what was important. The only person that probably kept their will intact was probably Whitebeard, because he gained it through the people that joined him as a family. They never found a family after that. Kaido never got along with his daughter. Big Mom never really got along with any of her kids. So it's like, I know people want to downgrade Rox and his captaincy, but like when you look at it after this is over, you're gonna see it's very quite different.
You made me think of something, and I wonder if Oden might be doing that. You know how Oden said, like, when Roger left, he said, we didn't cry, like, we gave a manful cheer. But in reality, we're bawling. They're saying pretty much, we wouldn't cry, we don't care if Rox dies, we wouldn't bat an eye or a tear up. It's reverse. But when it actually happened, probably all of them start tearing up and crying.
I guarantee you.
I really thought that when he was saying that. Like, it's like the reverse of the Roger and the Rox pirates.
Also notice too is that in a situation where like, all right, you have Rox, we're thinking his crew is going to abandon him, but he has, like they said, the strongest crew, but he's thinking they're going to abandon him and not help him save his family. Even though you have this crew, you have the strongest crew that can do it. Whitebeard though, he's here to save Ace, but his crew's not strong enough. Like the exact opposite.
I thought that too.
Like it's all on Whitebeard. Like
That's
Whitebeard's
beautiful.
like he's going there,
Yeah.
but he's recognizing I can't protect fully my crew. I can't rely on them doing it because they're not strong enough. They're
And
not
he's
the
at
Rox
his
pirates.
weakest.
He's at his weakest.
Yeah.
Rox is at his strongest with the strongest crew, right? And they're able to achieve everything they wanted.
It's
right?
all opposite.
Whitebeard's at his weakest, and his crew's nowhere near. Like, he can't count on his crew for anything because they couldn't get anything done.
And he didn't have his brothers with him, meanwhile Rox did.
Exactly. That's why, if you even look at it, going into, like, Luffy, another pirate crew, Luffy was strong enough. That determination, they probably riding him at Rox. Whitebeard literally pinned his crew to follow Luffy's lead. I'm the conqueror here, but I'm too old and weak to do so. This person, none of my crewmen are conquerors, but this conqueror, even though he's the youngest, he could lead them to Ace.
Yeah.
Support this dude. And then as soon as Luffy does it, then Whitebeard kind of jumps down and breaks the island trying to separate them to save his crew because they weren't strong enough.
Yeah.
Honestly, you made me think of it more like it's all D's tied. Like, again, it's different because, like, for instance, if you go by Roger loved Shaggy and Rayleigh loved Shaggy and they went to go save someone they loved. Rox went to go save his family, so I forget who he loved, and they both saved their family. Luffy, a family member who he loves, tries to do the same thing that Roger and Rox were able to do, but failed. With someone he loved, considered family, two conquerors, two D's, resemble each other, able to do it. But Luffy tried and he failed. It's just like, just thinking about it, just like...
Yeah.